The rope creaks before you even reach the edge of town. Dodge is awake early, faces packed like cattle along the square, breath fogging in the brittle morning. You ride straight into it, dirt on your hem, grit in your throat, and a 3-year-old clinging to your hip like he knows what's coming. Ahead, a gallows, fresh built, the kind where mercy doesn't get a name. The child shifts, his small fingers tightening around your shawl. He doesn't cry. He hasn't since yesterday. He just stares, round-eyed and quiet, as the man with the black hood steps onto the platform and uncoils the noose like a snake, ready to feed. You dismount, boots hitting dirt that still holds last night's frost. The world smells of horses, old blood, and cheap whiskey. Somewhere, someone's already placing bets on how long the neck will hold. Kansas justice moves quick, especially when there's railroad money on the line. The name on the wanted poster? Peter Morrison. Bloody Pete, robber, informant, traitor. But the name you're about to give is Mrs. Peter Morrison. The trapdoor slams open just as you clear the crowd. The body jerks once, then stills. The silence that follows isn't reverence, it's appraisal. 100 eyes slide off the dead man and onto you. Dirt-slicked hair, cracked lips, fingers trembling just slightly as you adjust your hold on the child. He presses his face to your neck and whispers something in a language no settler should know. You don't flinch, not yet. But that one word, soft syllables rounded by desert dust, tells you your timing may have been too perfect. From the corner of the platform, a man steps down, star pinned to his chest, hand resting casual on a Colt Peacemaker. Marshal, no doubt. He moves like someone used to watching things die. "You just passing through?" he asks, voice low and dry. You meet his eyes, steady, calm. "Looking for my husband," you say. "He was supposed to be brought here. Name's Peter Morrison." He doesn't blink, doesn't smile. "You're late. I buried my brother 2 days back. Storms slowed us out of Wichita." The marshal glances down at the child. "That your boy?" "Yes." "Name?" "Thomas." The child turns his head then, looks the marshal in the eye, says nothing. But there's something about his stare, old, almost knowing, that makes the marshal step half a foot back before he catches himself. He nods, slow. "You'll need to come with me, just to sort a few things out." You nod, "Of course." The crowd's already shifting, scenting confusion. A few of them start muttering. One man points. "That's her. That's the one Pete was always writing letters to." "No, she died," someone else barks. "Apache took her last spring." A third voice rises. "If she's his wife, she's part of it." Ain't that what the poster said? Gang of 5, scattered after the Prescott job. The marshal moves closer, shielding you with one arm. You notice his hand hasn't left the grip of his pistol. "I keep walking," he mutters, voice for your ears only, "unless you want this crowd to decide guilt without a rope." You walk. The child whispers again, something softer, something like a prayer. And in that moment you remember you were never meant to come back, not to Dodge, not to any town with gallows already built, but you're here, with your name borrowed from a dead man, with a child who speaks in tongues you can't explain, and someone, somewhere, is going to burn for what they did to both of you. The office smells of boot polish and tired paper. The kind of room where truths don't get born, they get filed. You sit straight-backed in the chair, child on your lap. He's silent now, thumb in his mouth, eyes tracking every movement behind the marshal's desk like he's been in rooms like this before. Marshal Harrow flips your documents over twice, doesn't read them at first, just feels them. The weight of the parchment, the press of the ink, like he's more interested in the lie's texture than its words. "You're Mrs. Peter Morrison," he says. "Yes, you answer. His brow lifts. "Same Peter Morrison we hung an hour ago?" You nod. You don't tremble. You've learned by now. Shaking makes people listen harder. Calm makes them ignore. You don't seem surprised. You look him in the eye. "I've been trying to catch up to that man for months. Last I heard, he was in Abilene. Then reports said Dodge. I arrived as fast as I could." Harrow leans back, folds his arms. He's not buying, but he's not arresting either, yet. "These papers say you married him in the Colorado Territory, Durango. Is that right?" "Yes." He taps the top page. "Clean seal. Too clean. You know how many county clerks out west use paper this fresh?" You stay quiet. Harrow's not pushing to trap you, not yet. He's probing for rhythm. One false hesitation, one twitch. "You got a witness to the wedding?" "My sister," you lie. "But she died of fever 2 winters ago." "You got any friends in Dodge? Someone who can vouch for you?" "No." He tilts his head, studies the boy. "He talk?" "He's 3. Looks smaller. We've had a hard year." At that, something flickers in him, a twitch of the jaw. He saw something harder than he expected in your answer. You could leave it there, but something tells you not to. You add, "He was sick in the desert for 3 days. Fever turned his speech around. He talks strange now." "Strange?" Harrow asks, still watching the child. You hesitate. "Apache." That lands harder than you expect. The Marshal doesn't move, just lets the words hang in the room like ash. "That boy speak Apache?" he finally says, quiet. "Yes." His fingers drum the desk once, then stop. You don't say the rest out loud, that the child speaks it better than you ever could, that he's said words you've only heard whispered from tents around firelight, that sometimes, in his sleep, he cries out for someone you never met, and sometimes for someone you remember dying. "Where were you during the Kiowa Pass raid?" Harrow asks suddenly. The question hits like a whip, fast, untelegraphed. You answer by instinct. "South, near Trinidad." He nods slowly. "Convenient. You're always somewhere else when the smoke's still rising." He stands, comes around the desk. You resist the urge to pull the child tighter. "I should throw you in the holding cell," he says. "Let the mayor decide if you swing tomorrow." "Then why haven't you?" you ask. Harrow studies you like he's remembering something or someone. "I've seen guilty," he says. "They look away. Or they lie too fast." "And me? You're dangerous because you believe your lie." He steps past, opens the door. "Come on. Let's see if the crowd still remembers their pitchforks." As you rise, the child says a word. Not English. Not Apache either. Older, rounder. The room seems to lean in toward the sound of it. Harrow turns back. "What did he say?" You answer too quickly. "Nothing." But Harrow isn't looking at you anymore. He's looking at Thomas. And this time, he's afraid. He doesn't speak for a long time after locking the cell. The iron door clinks shut behind you, but Marshal Harrow lingers outside it, arms folded, boots planted wide like he needs the weight of the floor to hold himself together. You don't ask what he's thinking. You already know. That word your son spoke, it cracked something in him, not a memory, a wound. You sit on the bench feeling the stone through the thin fabric of your skirt. The boy curls into your side, half asleep. He doesn't speak again. Harrow finally turns, walks back to his desk. You hear him pour a glass of water, not whiskey, not tonight. His voice comes low, steady, like he's talking to someone who isn't there. Last winter, a party of Apache cut through the snow line and hit a farmhouse outside Cimarron. Just one family, a wife, a daughter. Husband was away in town, never came back. He sips once. They found the wife burned with the barn. The daughter was not found. You don't respond. There's nothing to say to that kind of grief. Harrow sets the cup down too carefully. The man who owned that land was my cousin, the one who raised me. Now you understand the silence in his hands, the reason he scans crowds like a man waiting for ghosts. He doesn't wear a badge for order. He wears it for control. He stands, walks toward the cell, resting one hand on the bars. You say you were married to Peter Morrison. You say you came here for his body, but you also claim you were in a mission school when the raid started last year, that you escaped. I did, you say quietly, and yet your child, he gestures towards Thomas, speaks the language of the people who burned my family alive. I didn't teach him that. No, he says, but someone did. He walks away again, pauses by the window, watching the dusk press itself against the glass. You rise slowly, move to the bars. Marshal, you say. He doesn't turn. There's more than one kind of raid, you say, and not all of them use fire. He stays quiet. I was part of a program. Out of Denver, Bureau of Indian Affairs wanted to educate Apache children. I was brought in to teach reading, arithmetic. I had a guard, a translator. His name was Peter Morrison. That gets him. He turns, fast. You expect me to believe Peter Morrison was working for the Bureau? I don't care what you believe. I'm just telling you why I came. That school burned in the middle of the night, not by Apache. Harrow's brow tightens. You're saying whites torched it? I'm saying someone didn't want the children educated. Someone wanted it to look like a massacre. And you survived? Barely. And your boy. I didn't know I was pregnant until weeks later. He walks away again, picks up your papers, studies them with new eyes. How long have you been tracking him? Months, you say. The rumors kept changing. Bandit, informant, murderer. I don't know what's true anymore. I just know I had to see him one last time. He sets the papers down. They buried him an hour ago, out back of Boot Hill. No marker. You nod. He'd hate a marker. The Marshal studies you again. You're not lying, he mutters. You wait. But you're not telling everything. You step back from the bars. Sit down. Hold your boy close. I can't tell what I don't remember, you say. There are days, whole months, missing. He nods slowly. But you don't think it's a gesture of trust. More like recognition. He's lost time, too. Night in Dodge tastes like coal smoke and regret. You lie on the narrow bench with Thomas tucked against your chest, his breath shallow and warm. The iron bars across from you cast long stripes in the moonlight, like ribs of a rib cage you can't break out of. You've stopped trying to remember. It hurts too much. But the holes in your mind, they itch, like old wounds that never scabbed right. Outside the cell, the Marshal's lamp burns low. You hear him, pacing once every 5 minutes, not talking, just moving. Like motion's the only thing keeping him from rusting over. Then Thomas shifts and speaks. Chishi bika da dilid. You freeze. It's not English, not gibberish, and not the half-remembered Apache phrases you heard once in the mission tent. It's fluent, soft, uncoiled from somewhere deep in his chest like he's done it 1,000 times. Your mouth goes dry. You whisper, "What did you say?" Thomas stares at the ceiling. still sleepy, still somewhere between here and the desert where your memories end. He whispers again, "The fire where grandfather sleeps, the mountain with the sleeping eagle." You blink hard. The words mean nothing to you. And everything. Across the room, the broom pauses mid-sweep. You hadn't noticed her before. The old Apache woman, wrinkled, hunched, bone-thin, staring at the boy like she's just seen a ghost. Her name tag reads Mary, but that's not her name in the language he just spoke. She walks closer, kneels without asking. Thomas doesn't flinch, just turns his face to hers. He whispers a third time, and this time even you catch something. Na ashchi eat. Scorpion. Mary inhales through her teeth, presses 2 fingers to her lips. You hear that, Marshal? She croaks without looking away. That baby speaks Ironhawk's blood. Harrow doesn't answer, but you hear his boots stop pacing. You pull Thomas in. He doesn't know what he's saying. He's just repeating things he knows, Mary says flat. Not from hearing, from living. She stands up slow. Like every bone needs permission, she turns to Harrow. This boy's not settler blood. I raised him, you say. I carried him. He's mine. Mary eyes you, sharp. Blood ain't just what makes a child. Fire, too. You were in that fire, but he was born from it. You swallow, hard. I was in a mission school. I don't remember everything. There was an attack? No. Mary interrupts. There was a cleansing. Your kind burned what they feared would grow. You shake your head. That's not what happened. But your voice isn't firm anymore. The old woman gestures to Thomas. That's a dialect only Chief Ironhawk's band still speaks. I ain't heard it in 20 years, and it didn't come from books. Thomas stirs again, mumbles a final word. Coward. You don't know how, but it stings. Mary backs away. You want to find the truth? Start with what he knows, not what you forgot. She exits without waiting for a response. The silence after is thick enough to drown in. Marshal Harrow steps into the light, face unreadable. Do you drug him? He asks quietly. No? You? I don't even know what's real anymore. He nods once, then walks back to his desk and picks up your medical pouch, opens it, sniffs the vial you forgot you had. Laudanum, he says. Strong dose. Been giving it to him? No, you say too quickly. He holds the bottle to the light. Then who's been giving it to you? You can't answer, because in that moment you remember the hand that pressed the dropper to your lips last spring. And it wasn't Peter. The dust hits first. A fine grit whispering in through the Marshal's open window. Then hoofbeats, measured, confident. One rider, not fast, not slow, like he's already decided who lives and who doesn't. Marshal Harrow stiffens before you even hear the voice. Evening, Jed. You shift toward the bars. From the side window, you catch only pieces. A long coat, lean figure, and a rifle that rides his saddle like a second spine. Harrow doesn't greet him, just mutters, Raven. Jack Raven dismounts without ceremony, steps into the office with that easy silence men like him carry, the kind born from too many nights in too many hunting camps, where being heard meant dying quick. You feel it before he speaks. This man isn't here for a bounty. He's here for something older. He scans the room, gaze brushing past you like dust off a boot, until it lands on the boy. And then it stops. This the Morrison woman? Raven asks. She claims to be, Harrow replies, voice flat. She's lying, Raven says, no heat, just fact. But not how you think. You narrow your eyes. He pulls a folded wanted poster from his coat and slaps it on the desk. Your name's there, first name wrong, photo too grainy, but the eyes, close enough. Says she was spotted in Santa Fe with the Morrison gang. Days after a bank job left 2 guards dead, matching child in tow. That wasn't me, you say. Raven looks at you like a man studying a track in soft mud. No, it wasn't. You blink. He points to the poster. This was bait. Someone used your image to cover another woman's escape. But whoever she was, she had your boy. Harrow steps forward. What are you saying? I've been chasing that trail from El Paso north, Raven says. Found signs of a woman and child traveling alone, but 3 days out from Dodge, tracks change. 2 extra horses, 1 shod, 1 not. Rider barefoot. He looks at you again. You weren't alone. Your blood runs cold because he's right. You don't remember them. But in your dreams, there were always more hoofbeats than yours. What do you want from me? You ask. I want to know what happened to my sister. The air in the room tightens. She was taken during the Cimarron mission fire, 17, half Apache. Her name was Neole. She was assigned to help a teacher. Said the woman was kind, white. Confused most of the time, but kind. You look down at Thomas. Her name wasn't Neole, you whisper. It was Morning Star. Raven's voice cracks for half a second. You remember her? I remember her singing. I remember her pulling me out of the smoke. You close your eyes. I think she died saving us. Raven turns. For the first time, his shoulders sag, like the wind's gone out of the hunt. I needed to know, he says. You came all this way just for that? He shakes his head. I came for revenge. I stayed for truth. Then he looks down at Thomas, crouches low, not close enough to touch, just enough to see him. The boy stares back, calm, no fear, almost recognition. He's got her eyes, Raven says, and her silence. He stands. I'm not giving him to the bounty office, he says, glancing at Harrow. You do what you want with her, but I'll be nearby. Harrow watches him go. When the door swings shut, you finally ask, He's not going to arrest me? No, Harrow says, still watching the empty door frame. Why? Because something worse than law brought him here, and it already did its work. You wake before dawn, cold sweat, arms stiff from cradling the boy too long. But it's not the chill that woke you. It's the voice, screaming. Not his, not yours. A woman's voice. Then smoke. Then gone. You sit up in the dark cell, heart hammering, chest aching like a weight's been placed on it in your sleep. Thomas stirs beside you, still dreaming, still safe. But the memory, not safe, not anymore. You can't stop it now. It's coming back in flashes. Color. Smell. A woman's hand pressed to your back. A wooden door slammed shut from the outside, smoke curling under it, heat rising. A scream cut short. You whisper her name without meaning to. Morning Star. The room is still, but your pulse isn't. The school had adobe walls, low to the ground. 10 children. 1 assistant, Apache, but fluent in English and Spanish. Morning Star. You remember her laugh? Short, gentle, always at the edge of exhaustion. You were assigned there as part of an educational initiative, fresh from Denver. You thought you were helping. You thought, no, you know now. They never wanted to teach those children. They wanted them counted, labeled, separated, and then erased. The night of the fire, you were asleep with Thomas in the teacher's quarters. Morning Star had told you something that afternoon, words you didn't fully grasp then. When the wind stops talking, something worse speaks through it. You thought it was just folklore, but that night the wind stopped. And men came, not Apache, whites, with Union-issue rifles, a cavalry crest. They set the far side of the compound on fire first, drove the children toward the flames, then shot the ones who ran too far. Morning Star dragged you from bed, shoved Thomas into your arms, and screamed at you to run west, but you hesitated because she didn't come with you. You look down now at your hands, scarred on the left. Always wondered where that burn came from. Now you remember. It was from the latch she slammed closed behind you. You ran. But you didn't escape. You survived, which might be worse. The cell door creaks open slow. Marshal Harrow steps in, eyes dark, coat half buttoned. No hat. He doesn't say anything. You sit up straighter, wiping your face with your sleeve. "I remember," you whisper. He doesn't ask what. You look at him, really look. "Have you ever made a choice," you ask, "that felt right until it left someone else dead?" His jaw shifts. "Every lawman has." You shake your head. "Not law, not guns, just belief. I believed I was helping. Turns out I was part of the fire." He nods, once, then pulls something from his pocket, a folded piece of canvas. He lays it on the bench. A child's drawing, smudged charcoal, lines too careful for toddler hands. It's a mountain, a fire, a bird, and a woman standing in the flames with her hand raised, not screaming, guiding. "Thomas made this," Harrow says, in his sleep. You stare at the drawing. "You said you had memory gaps," he continues, "but your boy doesn't. He was a baby. He was there." You pick up the drawing, fingers trembling. "He remembers more than I do," you whisper. Harrow steps back. His voice is soft. "Maybe it's time you let him speak." But Thomas is already awake. He looks up from the bench, eyes dark, wide, and he says one word, clear, soft, "Nadlehi." You blink. You don't know it, but Harrow does. His breath hitches. "That's Diné, Navajo, not Apache." You look at the boy. "What does it mean?" Harrow answers for him. "It means the one who walks in both worlds." And suddenly, you're not sure who he's talking about. Your son or you. He rides in without sound. No gunshots, no whistle, no warning. Just the hush that settles when something old enters a place that's tried to forget. Dodge doesn't see him arrive, not really. They see the long black braid, the scar beneath the right eye, the worn elk-hide rifle case strapped behind his back. But they don't see him. Not until he reins in outside the Marshal's office and dismounts with the ease of someone who has walked through death and found it boring. Iron Hawk. You know the name the second Harrow breathes it out. Not from stories, not from fear, but because Thomas stands, presses a hand to the window bars, and smiles. The old man enters the office like he's walked through it before. No hesitation, no greeting. His eyes land on Harrow first. "You have her," he says. Not a question. Harrow doesn't draw. But you see the twitch in his fingers. Iron Hawk doesn't wait for permission. Steps to the cell, peers in. Eyes meet yours. You expect judgment, coldness, maybe the look a man gives a trespasser before he turns his back. But you don't expect what you get. Recognition and pain. He looks down at the child. Thomas doesn't flinch. Just lifts one hand and places it palm out against the bars. Iron Hawk mirrors it, and in a voice so low it barely reaches your ears, he says in Apache, "Grandson." You grip the bench. Harrow stiffens. "Grandson?" Ironhawk doesn't explain, doesn't need to. You do the math in your head, the memory fragments, the nights after the fire, the voice that soothed your fever, the man who never showed his face. You remember a hand gripping yours, calloused but gentle, and you realize Thomas was never Peter Morrison's son. He's Ironhawk's blood, yours. Your voice breaks. "I didn't know." "I did," Ironhawk says. His tone isn't soft, but it isn't cruel. Just final. "I followed you for weeks after the fire, watched as you wandered half-broken into settler lands, saw the child survive when you almost didn't. You didn't come? I wasn't welcome. A man with blood on his hands is no comfort in white towns. You could have told me. I tried. They called me savage. They chased me east." His voice changes, barely. But the boy remembers. Thomas is still at the bars, eyes bright. He says something in that same old dialect, but quicker now, more certain. Hawk answers him. Harrow finally breaks the silence. What does he say? Ironhawk looks at him. He asked why the wind here smells like fear. No one responds. Then Ironhawk turns to you. And this time, there's something deeper in his face. Not rage, not pride, grief. "You were taken from yourself," he says. "Not just from me, not just from him. They stole you in ways you didn't know could be stolen." "I want to remember," you whisper. He nods. "Then come." "I'm in a cell." His mouth lifts, almost a smile. "No, you're in a cage made of names that don't belong to you." He turns to Harrow. "Let her out." Harrow doesn't move. "She's a suspect in a federal investigation." Ironhawk steps closer. "And you're a man who knows when the law's been poisoned." The silence stretches. Then Harrow unlocks the cell. You step out. The weight in your chest shifts, but doesn't leave. Thomas runs to Ironhawk. Doesn't look back. You do. Harrow holds the door open. Doesn't speak. You pause beside him. "Why'd you let me go?" His voice is rough. "Because you weren't the only one who lost a daughter in that fire." You want to ask what he means, but some truths are better left in the smoke. They don't come for you at dawn. They come at night, with the lamps down low and boots soft on polished wood. Ironhawk's taken Thomas out beyond the cottonwoods to sleep under stars. He said the boy needed to breathe desert wind, not cell rot. You let them go. You didn't ask when they'd be back. You just trusted. Maybe that's what the mayor's counting on when he steps into Harrow's office after sundown, papers tucked tight under his arm, and a whiff of cigar still curling from his lapel. "Marshal," he says smoothly. "Leave us a moment." Harrow doesn't move. Mayor Thorne smiles like he's been waiting for this kind of resistance. "It's a courtesy, not a command." Harrow steps out. The door shuts. Now it's just you and the man who owns most of Dodge and leases out the rest. "You're not who they say you are," he begins, adjusting his cuffs. "But then, neither am I." You say nothing. He sets the papers on Harrow's desk. "Word is, you've got Apache blood in that boy, maybe more. That true?" You glare. He smiles again. "Don't matter. What matters is what people think is true." He flips the top page, a statement already written. It names Ironhawk as the leader of a violent Apache cell, responsible for the Cimarron Mission massacre. It lists you as a survivor turned witness. And it ends with your signature. Or it will, if you choose. "What do I get, you ask? "Freedom, yours and the boys. A rail voucher west, clean name, and the satisfaction of knowing you helped avoid another Indian war." Your throat dries. And if I say no, he shrugs, then I let the feds have you. They've got a fresh wire from Santa Fe tying you to the Morrison gang. You'll be tried by fall, hung by winter. You pick up the paper. The words are clear, crafted for public approval, not truth. A condemnation with a nice, round ending. You already wrote this, you say. Of course. So what do you need me for? He leans in. Because stories sell better from a woman who looks like you, from a mother, from someone they believe was saved. You don't answer. He stands. You've got until morning. I'll send someone for your answer. He leaves. You stare at the paper. Harrow steps back in. How long have you known? You ask him. Long enough. You look at him. You believe him? I believe he's not the only one who wants this done quiet. He leans against the desk. Tell me something, he says. Do you believe Iron Hawk killed those children? No. Then you know signing this makes you no different than the men who lit the fire. You nod. He watches you for a long time. Truth's heavy, he says, but it doesn't burn. Then he steps out again. You sit in the dark, Thomas's drawing still folded in your pocket, and stare at a lie wearing your name. The night doesn't end with a signature, it ends with boot falls, fast, heavy, coming up the side alley like wolves that smell a cornered calf. You don't wait for them to knock. You already have Thomas bundled tight against your chest, your boots laced, the drawing tucked beneath your shirt. The door's locked, but that won't last. And then one loud voice outside. Under federal warrant, we're seizing the prisoner. Not Thorne, not Harrow. Washington. You step back, heart thrumming. Thomas curls against you, half asleep. You can't outrun bullets with him in your arms. You need another way. The back door creaks. You spin. And it's Harrow. He's not wearing the badge, just his long duster, a revolver strapped to one hip and a Henry rifle in the other hand. Come on, he mutters. No time. You hesitate. What changed? His jaw works. I read the rail contract, he says. They're moving the line through reservation land. The school wasn't a tragedy. It was a distraction. That's enough. You follow him. Through the back alley, down past the saloon's waste ditch, across a corral where horses turn their heads but don't whinny. In the shadows beyond the stables, 2 horses wait, saddled, tied loose. One is yours. You didn't ask how he found it, or how he knew which one to prep. You just mount. Thomas fits in front of you like a memory long denied, warm, breathing, alive. The first bullet hits the stable wall before you're 20 yards clear. Go, down, come. By go, Harrow yells, veering west, rifle slung. You bolt south, low to the saddle, teeth gritted. Dodge explodes behind you, shouts, orders, gunfire bouncing off wood and tin. You head for the dry creek bed. Harrow takes the rise, lays down covering fire. The man was born for this terrain, knows every turn, every fence line, every dip in the land. A rider comes from the north, fast, black coat, no badge. A federal deputy, his rifle swings up. You don't think. You reach for the pistol, Harrow shoved in your saddlebags, cold iron 6-shot, Colt Navy, familiar, heavy. You fire once too high, the recoil bites your wrist. Thomas doesn't cry. Second shot, lower. The man jerks, slips from his saddle. You don't stop, you make the bend. Behind you, 2 more riders close in. Harrow peels off, drawing them toward the ridge. You hear his gun bark 3 times. One scream, then silence. Then another horse breaks through the trees ahead. Your breath catches. It's not Iron Hawk, it's Raven. He pulls up hard, rifle raised. then lowers it when he sees Thomas. "No time," you shout. He turns. Without a word, he joins your flank, guarding your left as you veer west into the canyon. There the shadows swallow the road. You ride until your arms ache, until Thomas slumps in sleep again and the moon is gone from the sky. Then, finally, you stop. Raven circles. They'll track you. You nod. "Let them." He eyes you. "You ain't running any more, are you?" "No." "You're bait." You dismount. Kneel. Let Thomas breathe desert again. "We're truth," you say, "and Dodge is going to have to choke on it." Harrow doesn't return that night. You don't know if he ever will. But the last shot you heard came from his rifle, and for the first time you don't feel like a ghost with a borrowed name. You feel like a woman with a war to finish. Dawn breaks red across the high cliffs, bleeding light over stone and thorn. You haven't slept. Not really. Just kept watch, ears tuned to every coyote call, every shift of wind that might carry hoofbeats. But the boy, Amima Dizahum, he slept hard, like the desert was the only bed that's ever known his name. Now he's awake, small fingers tangled in your shirt, staring toward the east. He says a word, clear, careful. You don't understand it, but Raven does. He sits beside the fire, sharpening a blade that already gleams. He freezes. "What did he say, you ask, too soft. Raven looks at Thomas. The boy repeats it. "Why did the red-haired man kill Morning Star?" You don't move. "Say it again," you whisper, though you already heard it. Thomas repeats it, this time in English. The desert holds still. The fire cracks once. Raven stands slowly, eyes hard. He saw it. You stare down at your son, heart thudding. "You saw it, baby." Thomas nods. "She made me close my eyes, but I peeked." He reaches into the satchel at his side, pulls something out, something you hadn't seen before. Folded hide, charred edges, a child's keepsake pouch. He opens it. Inside a strip of blue cloth singed, a twist of cedar, and a small carved bead in the shape of an owl. You remember that bead. It hung from Morning Star's sash. You used to tease her about it, called it her night sister. She never laughed, only said, "Owls remember what others bury." Raven takes the pouch, turns it in his hand. "This is hers." You nod. Thomas speaks again. He had red hair, you think? Red hair. Peter? No. His was dark, greased back. But one of the officers who visited the school a week before the fire, you remember a badge, a laugh too loud, and flame-colored hair under a cavalry hat. You blink. "The man who ordered the books burned," you say aloud. "He wasn't local. He said he was auditing the school for moral clarity." Raven growls. "His name was Miles Creedy, lieutenant, then promoted. Now he's Judge Creedy, appointed last fall." The bile rises. Your hands shake as you steady Thomas. He was never just a threat to Iron Hawk's land. He was the executioner of anyone who tried to bridge the two worlds, including Morning Star. "She saved us," you whisper, "and he buried it." You stand. "There's more." Raven narrows his eyes. "I remember Morning Star dragging me out of the flames," you say. "But before that, she gave me something." "What?" "I don't know." You reach into your pouch, fumble through the old papers you've carried like ghosts. Behind them, folded in canvas, is a map, but not one drawn in ink. It's stitched, threaded. Apache-style memory weaving. Thomas reaches for it, points to a ridgeline you don't recognize. There. He traces his finger to a symbol that looks like a snake, then says the word, "Where the wind sleeps." That's where she hid it. Raven meets your eyes. "It's real." he says. There's something left. You fold the map, tuck it into your coat. Thomas curls against you again, but his eyes don't close. Not this time. He saw the truth. He remembers fire. And the man who started it wears robes now, instead of a uniform. You stand. You ride through land that doesn't want you. Sharp stone under hoof, brush thick with thorn and bone-colored lichen. A dry wind scrapes through the cottonwoods, their leaves whispering like gossip. You haven't spoken for miles, neither has Raven, but Thomas hums. Low, tuneless, a child's sound, or maybe something older. He's leading. The boy rides with you, tucked tight against your front, eyes forward, fingers curled around the stitched map as if the thread might guide him better than any compass. It's not far, he says. You glance at Raven. He doesn't question, just shifts his rifle and keeps pace. The trail narrows at a ridge, granite breaking into steps, a snake's spine of stone rising toward a cut in the cliffs. You dismount, let the horses rest. Thomas slides from the saddle and starts climbing without hesitation. You follow. At the top it opens, a hollow cove, windless and still. Juniper trees grow low, bent like old men. There's a spring, half covered in reeds, the water dark, cool, untouched, and across from it the remnants of a shelter, mud walls, charred ceiling, but not abandoned, fresh tracks, small fire pit, a woven mat smoothed with care. Someone's been here recently. Thomas doesn't hesitate. He walks to the far wall, kneels, and digs with his bare hands. You rush forward, but Raven holds you back. Let him. Minutes pass. Then the child pulls something out, wrapped in hide, thick, tied with deer sinew. He hands it to you. You unwrap it slowly. Inside, papers, charred at the edges, but legible. Names, ledgers, a list of bureau payouts, mission funding trails, and one seal you recognize. U.S. Department of Indian Affairs. Raven crouches beside you, eyes scanning. This is what they burned the school for, he mutters. Not students, records. This proves everything. You turn to the last page. Signatures, Creedy's and Peter Morrison's. You feel the heat return to your face. He was part of it, you whisper. Raven's face hardens. He fed names, probably thought he was protecting you, and Morning Star found out. That's when you hear the twig snap. Raven's rifle is up before the sound fades. A man stands at the ridgeline, older, thin gray coat. No badge, no uniform, but the stance of someone trained. Creedy. His voice is calm. Well, he says, didn't think I'd find the two of you on the same side. Your mouth goes dry. Thomas presses against your leg. You tracked us. No, Creedy says. I bought a man who did. He nods behind him, and then Harrow steps into view. Alive. But he won't meet your eyes. You step forward. You brought him? Harrow's face is pale. I had no choice. Creedy smirks. He's telling the truth. Wire from Dodge came last night. Said your trial would embarrass the governor, so I'm to clean it up. He raises a revolver, nickel-plated, clean. Leave the boy, Hetty says, and burn the papers. No. His eyes narrow. You think this story changes anything. I burn your proof, I bury your name, and in 2 weeks this canyon's back to being empty. Raven steps forward, but then we carve the truth into the stone. Creedy smiles. Let's see who bleeds first. The shot rings out, but it's not Creedy's. It's Harrow's. Creedy stumbles, hand flying to his side. You! He gasps. Harrow fires again. Creedy falls. Hard. The gun drops, kicks up dust. Then silence. You stare. Harrow breathes heavy. I read the last page, he says. You weren't on it. But my cousin's name was. You step forward. Harrow kneels by the spring, wipes his brow. I helped build this lie, he says. I won't die with it. You hand him the bundle. Then help bury it. He nods. Thomas speaks. Can we go home now? You look at him, then at the canyon, then the trail behind you. No, you say gently. Not yet. You don't ride straight back to Dodge. Instead, you veer east toward a town that doesn't remember you. They called it Red Bluff once. Stage stop, cattle pass through, nowhere special. But you remember the creek behind the boarding house, the room with no windows, and the woman who handed you a name like it was a coat to borrow. You ride in under a cloud-thin sky, sun high, no shadows. Raven stays with Thomas at the edge of town. Harrow rides behind you but doesn't speak. He hasn't since the canyon, not since the third shot when he emptied Creedy's pockets and found a letter marked Instructions, Permanent Solution. Inside the records office, dust sleeps over old ledgers. An old man, eyes milky, hands stained with ink, looks up, startled. You place a name on the counter. Eliza Carter. He squints, flips a book open, fingers the pages like they're bones. Carter. Boarding pass, freight shipment, here? He reads aloud. Eliza Carter, female, settler widow, no known kin. Arrived spring of 72, departed fall same year, died en route to Kansas Territory, caused childbed fever, confirmed by Sheriff Miles Creedy. You go cold. I didn't die, you say. The man looks up. Beg pardon? I'm Eliza Carter. That's my name. I was never married to Peter Morrison. That was forged. I was alive the whole time. The clerk frowns. Miss, I only record what's brought to me. Then someone paid you to forget. He doesn't deny it. Harrow steps forward, lays a tin star on the desk. Not his own, Creedy's. The clerk goes still. This badge belongs to a man who killed children, Harrow says, and this woman was used to make it look clean. The clerk says nothing, but he doesn't argue. Instead, he opens a second book beneath the first, one not for public view. Inside, a list of names crossed out. Eliza Carter is among them. Next to it, a stamped mark, reassigned. You stare. What does that mean, you ask? The clerk clears his throat. It was common in the rail years, he says. Settler women moved between towns. Rail contracts wanted neat stories. Death was easier than delay. So we reassigned them. Paper death. You erased lives. He nods. You look at Harrow. He meets your eyes. I let this happen, he says quietly. Back then, I thought it was harmless. A name here, a shift there, just paperwork. You turn the book so the light hits your name. You made me a ghost. No, Harrow says. They did. But you didn't stop it. He doesn't answer. Outside, Raven paces with the horses. Thomas hums again, low, steady, like he knows you're closing a door. You take a breath. Uncross the name, you tell the clerk. He hesitates. Please, you say. I want it back. My name. The pen scratches, slow. Eliza Carter. Status alive. You walk out with the page in your hand. It flutters once in the wind, then stills. You kneel beside Thomas, fold it in half and tuck it into his satchel. Your mother's name, you whisper. It lived. He smiles. Raven rides up beside you. "You ready?" he asks. You nod. But something's shifted. You're not riding to escape anymore. You're riding to testify. You ride into Dodge like someone who belongs. No disguise, no false name, no child hidden behind your coat. Just Eliza Carter, alive, returned, and no longer waiting to be spoken for. The street quiets, not because you're feared, because too many remember the poster, the whispers, the lie, and you're not supposed to be standing. You dismount in front of the auction house, not a courthouse, not yet. The town still uses the raised platform for cattle, prisoners, and spectacle. Today it's both. You can already hear Mayor Thorne's voice inside, rising, polished. He's spinning a story. You know the kind, misled woman, dangerous savage, federal assurance. But he doesn't know you've come to rewrite the ending. Harrow steps beside you. You don't have to do this. You look at him. I already did. Raven rides off toward the North Post, where Ironhawk waits with 3 more who survived the mission fire. Witnesses, people no one expected to speak again. Thomas takes your hand. You lift him onto the platform before you climb up. Inside, Thorne turns mid-sentence, stops. The whole room follows his eyes. You walk straight to the center. I have something to say, you call out, and no one else is going to speak it right. Thorne recovers fast, too fast. Miss Carter, I'm afraid this isn't. It is, you say, because I was declared dead on your word, and I'm standing here now. He stiffens. This isn't a courtroom. No, but this town's always tried people in the open. A murmur rises. You unroll the stitched map, then the bureau papers, the ledger with signatures, Morrison's, Creedy's, sealed dates, payments. You hold them high. This is the truth, you say, and the proof that the man you called a hero lit that fire, not Apache, not Ironhawk, your own lawman. Silence. Then someone stands. The clerk from Red Bluff. He holds up a second paper, the one he refiled. Eliza Carter, status, alive. It's not legal yet, but it's enough. Thorne steps forward, trembling. This woman consorted with known fugitives and saved children. Harrow cuts in. She risked her life, while you signed the order to bury the records. Raven walks in, tosses Creedy's badge at Thorne's feet. That man's dead. Yours if you want to lie beside him. Thorne falters. Someone near the back spits. A woman shouts, "Let her speak!" Then the murmurs rise again, but this time for you. Thomas climbs onto the crate beside you, unfolds the drawing, holds it up. The mountain, the fire, the woman in the smoke. They see it now. You, morning star, memory wrapped in charcoal. The mayor backs down. No verdict is read, no jury stands. But when you walk out into the sunlight, no one stops you. Not anymore. The town celebrates in quiet ways. Nobody rings bells or fires rifles. Just doors left open a little longer. Coffee brewed without counting beans. The way old men tip hats when you pass, even if they don't meet your eyes. It's the kind of silence that says, "We know you were right. We just didn't know how to say it." But not everyone's done watching. Raven finds you the next morning outside the livery. You're saddling the mare for the trail. Thomas feeds the chickens like he's lived here forever. "You have company," Raven mutters. You glance up. The man leaning against the rail has no hat, just a weathered coat, scuffed boots, and a rifle that's seen 2 wars and no victories. He watches you like someone waiting for a door to open that already closed. You recognize him. Morgan Flint. Horse trader, scout, smuggler, when it suited. You met him once, when Peter still called you his blessing. Flint had looked at you too long, said nothing. Now you know why. You step forward. Came for something? He spits to the side. Not disrespect, just habit. They paid me to find you, Creedy's men, 6 weeks ago. Said you'd gone rogue with a child that wasn't yours. You nod. Sounds like me. I tracked you as far as Cimarron Ridge, saw the grave, knew it wasn't yours. He pauses, looks at Thomas. Didn't finish the job. You meet his gaze. Why? He shrugs. Because my mother was Apache, and she died in a school just like that one. Because the name you used to go by, Eliza Carter, that was my sister's name once. The ground shifts beneath your boots. She was reassigned too, he continues. Didn't survive it. You did. Maybe that means something. You study his face. Do you want payment? He laughs once, dry. I came to give it back. He reaches into his coat. It pulls out a small pouch, tosses it to you. You catch it. Inside, half the coin they must have promised him. Untouched. Not all debts need collecting, he mutters. Some just need naming. He turns, walks off. Doesn't look back. Raven steps beside you. He tell the truth? Does it matter? Raven nods. Not anymore. You tighten the cinch. Thomas laughs from the coop, chases a hen too fast and falls into straw. He's still laughing when you lift him up. You hold the coin pouch in your hand, not silver, not for trade. Just proof that not every hunter finishes the job he's paid for. The boy sleeps with his hand in yours, no fire burns, no voices linger, just the hush of open land and the soft rhythm of a child's breath against the silence. You lie under a sky older than any story told in Dodge. Raven has gone north, Ironhawk west. Harrow disappeared without word, but not without weight. Some men vanish loud, others just end their line of footprints. Thomas stirs. You don't speak, just tighten your hand around his. He settles again. Across the dark plain, the wind moves through mesquite and rock like it's carrying names, not words. Just names, too soft to hear, too sacred to repeat. You remember Morning Star's bead. You buried it near the spring, let it stay where she last held you. Some memories don't belong in your hands. They belong to the land, and now so do you. You're not lost anymore. You're not hiding. You're here, with your name, with your son. And for the first time when he speaks in dreams, you don't flinch. You listen. Because what he says isn't just memory, it's inheritance. You close your eyes, let the night take its time.